I remember the exact second it hit me. The laugh, piercing, unrestrained, a sound I had never been meant to hear. My wife, my partner for over a decade, laughing with her friends like I was a puppet she could tug at whenever she pleased. I pressed my face against the cracked doorframe, breath shallow, heartbeat pounding like artillery. The words weren't meant for me, but I caught them anyway. Honestly, she said, voice dripping triumph. I control him with just one simple thing. The world tilted. I staggered back into the shadows, my stomach curling. Control me. And the truth, my carefully crafted love, my devotion reduced to a single manipulative lever she held with amusement. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I didn't even cry. I listened. I burned. I replayed every memory with surgical precision. The nights she'd pretend to listen while scrolling her phone. The mornings where I made coffee, the way she liked, and she rolled her eyes, amused at my adoring predictability. I remembered the first time she leaned into me with that calculated smile, and I thought it was love. I thought it was trust. I thought it was safe. And slowly, painfully, I realized it had never been mine. It had belonged to her, held hostage by a single string. That one lever, that one vulnerability I had assumed was mutual, sacred. She called it love. I called it betrayal. It started small. The little things she did to test me. Comments that stung, smiles that cut, subtle digs that made me doubt myself. At first, I blamed myself, thinking I had misread signals that I had failed. Then I started noticing patterns. Her phone disappearing in her hand a little too often. Her laughter when I wasn't around, the way her eyes would dart when she expected me to react. And the more I noticed, the colder I became. Suspicion sharpened into obsession. Not the mad, incoherent kind. This was precise, calculated, quiet. I began collecting evidence methodically. I didn't confront. I didn't yell. I watched. I logged. I noted the tone of her messages. The inflection in her laughter. Each conversation with her friends was a puzzle, and I was patient. The pieces fit neatly into a pattern that made my skin crawl. Then I caught the proof. Physical proof. Messages she thought I would never see. Conversations where she boasted about keeping me in line, laughing at the simplicity of my compliance. Her arrogance dripped through every word, and I felt the strange, bitter taste of satisfaction. Now I had the ammunition, and she had no idea I had been listening all along. That night, I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling, thinking about the exact moment I would strike. But striking wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclamation. It had to be perfect, clean, painful, but precise. I removed her leverage. It was subtle at first. A missing reaction here, a muted response there. I stopped feeding her the emotions she thrived on, the one thing she had boasted about, her control. I withdrew completely and I watched. I let her believe I was the same, compliant, predictable, unaware. Then came the gradual unraveling, the little sparks of panic in her eyes when I didn't respond the way she expected. The hesitations, the stifled laughter, the way she began checking my reactions before speaking. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. Every gesture, every calculated pause told her exactly what she had lost. It was mesmerizing watching the architect of my betrayal flail at her own impotence. I set the stage for the final act with the precision of a invisible strings had already been cut. Every glance she cast my way met indifference. Every smirk met silence. She didn't know the storm I carried beneath my skin. When the moment came, I let her friends prompt her. She tried the usual, that little smirk, that tone of, "You'll see, I can bend him." I smiled, not the kind she could twist, but a calm, cold smile that carried the weight of inevitability. "You're mistaken," I said, voice low, measured. "I'm not controlled by you or anyone." The laughter stopped, the room stilled, her face drained of color, disbelief etched into every line. I continued, unflinching. I laid out one by one examples of how she had underestimated me, how her control had been an illusion she fed herself. I didn't scream. I didn't accuse. I simply presented the evidence, the undeniable truth. The chaos came in waves, the panic in her friend's eyes, the betrayal she hadn't anticipated, the way she tried to grasp at her veneer only for it to crumble. And through it all, I remained composed, cold, ruthlessly calm. I had rehearsed this, lived it in my mind until every reaction was anticipated, every shock accounted for. By the end, the power had shifted, completely. The aftermath was silent, except for the echoes of her own words. She could no longer hide behind laughter. She could no longer wield control. I had stripped it away layer by layer with a patience that burned hotter than any rage. I walked away from the debris of that dinner with a clarity I had never known. Revenge had been sweet, but it wasn't the end. The real victory was in reclaiming myself, in proving that no one, not even someone you've loved with everything inside you, could hold dominion over your mind, your will, your life. I think about her now sometimes not with love, not with hatred, just with cold awareness. I see the cracks where she once held power. I see the spaces I left empty deliberately, so she could feel the futility of her manipulations. And I'm free, free from fear, free from control, free from the illusion that love could be ownership. I am measured. I am precise. I am no one's puppet. Control is a lie. Pain can be a tool. Betrayal can teach if you were willing to watch, to wait, to act. I taught her that lesson silently, ruthlessly, and the echo of it, the quiet devastation of her misplaced confidence, will follow her for the rest of her life. I am not vengeful. I am just unstoppable.